Hello, my name is Quinn Hogue, and I'm here to record a video about how to set up the robotic arm and get it ready for operation. So there are two ways we could do a setup. The easiest and simplest way is to just have our Raspberry Pi plugged in with its separate power supply, and then take this cable here and plug it into a wall. And then we can, on the Raspberry Pi itself, we can plug a mouse and a keyboard into the USB ports and then run a HDMI cable to a monitor. This does not require a laptop to work and will allow you to be able to control the robot through the same GUI that will be shown later in this video. I'm going to pause it now, and I'm going to get ready to set up for the laptop communication. Okay, continuing where we left off, we're now going to be setting it up to work remotely. And for this, you'll need an Ethernet cable. You will not need a monitor, and you will not need an extra USB mouse and keyboard. All you need is a laptop, that Ethernet cable, and you'll connect the Ethernet cable between your laptop and the Raspberry Pi. And then what you'll need to do is go to your settings and open up, and then you want to search for control panel. If you're running on Windows, I'm not sure how to do this exactly for Mac, but this is a Windows setup here. You go to control panel, open that up, and then you can click here and go to your network and internet, and then network and sharing, and then change adapter settings. And then in there, you'll find whichever Ethernet adapter you are plugged into. In this case, it's this. You're gonna click on that, double left click on that, and then you're gonna go to your properties. And you're gonna go to your Internet Protocol version 4, click on that. And then you want to, it will automatically be clicked on to obtain IP address automatically. You want to click off of that and then use the following IP address. And you can select any IP address such as 192.168.1.20 as long as it is not 192.168.1.10. There is a default gateway in here that's usually put in automatically. We're currently not using a gateway, so that's not necessary actually. And then we hit OK, and that should save our settings. We should now be communicating with the Pi if it's working correctly. So I'm actually going to go into my setting, or I'm going to hit Windows key and then open a command prompt, and I should be able to ping. If I go in here, I should go ping and then 192.168.1.10. And as you can see, I'm receiving replies, and that means it is communicating. Then from there, you're going to need to have some software downloaded to be able to continue this process. So in this case, you're going to need to have, it's called Vnc Viewer. The Pi is configured to have a VNC server running, which allows you to access the desktop remotely. If I go and double click on this one here, it should allow me to connect to it. If you do not already have that in there, you would just simply type you would type the address of the server, which would be, 192.168.1.10, and it would find it. You'd have to enter the password. In this case, our password is Etown. So that's just E-T-O-N, O-W-N, all lowercase, all one word, and then that'll let you log in. That password will be used for anytime you have to log into the Pi, and that's how we just have it set up here. You have the ability to change this password if you're using it for something else, but we're just going to keep that password Etown. As we continue on here, is if, as I said, we double click this, it opens it up, it says connecting. This automatically logs in, so that's why it did not ask me for the password. And then this is how we get to our desktop remotely. Again, you can do this the same way if you just plug in keyboard, mouse, and a monitor without any laptop involved. The only thing is you won't have the option to run a remote debugger or anything like that. Another thing you can do, having this run from the remote, is we have the option to SSH into it and then program from there. So if I come into my VS Code, got Visual Studio Code started, I have it already set up to be able to run the SSH. You may have to come over here to extensions and install the remote connections stuff down here. If it's already installed for you, all you do is you go to here. And if you're on the home screen, you would hit like, where the heck is it? Let me see. Sorry. You'd click down here in this corner, and that's how you open up the remote connections. So you would then hit connect to host and type in the IP address of the Pi, which is 192.168.1.10. And then that would then prompt you for the password, and you would enter the password. From there, you can navigate to different folders, and you can program directly in those options. I'm going to go through the simpler option, because once you set up a workspace in VS Code, you can then open it up from your recent activity. So if I click on that here, it will bring up my code, and it prompts me for the password, which is, again, is Etown. And it takes a second, and it'll go through, and it actually picks off where you were last editing. But as you can see here, I have all my files. I have the ability to, set up different, add more functions, and look through the code that's already on the Pi itself. This is also set up to upload directly to GitHub. So when you come in, you will have to, if you're a student at Etown and you're running the same setup, you'll have to go in and you'll have to do run some commands to configure Git to be able to upload to your own GitHub. Currently, it's configured for mine, so I don't have to do that. But then your next step here would be to, your next option that you can do with this is you can also run the remote debug. So if I went here, and if I run the program from the debugger using my configuration file that I have installed in the workspace, which is all uploaded to GitHub, and I hit start debugging, that comes in here, and that allows me to run the program. Then if I go back over to here, you can actually see our GUI pops up here. And then our terminal is in this window back in our VS Code, and we can then use that to get some messages back if there's some errors. And we also can set breakpoints. So if we're not sure if a code's working or not, we can come over here and click and set a breakpoint. And then once it hits that in operation, it would then stop and allow us to step through and to see what the issue is and look at the parameters and variables and stuff. Well, that's gonna be the end of our tutorial for how to get set up. I'll have a second video here that shows us how to actually control the robot and what the GUI actually does. Thanks for watching.